People often ask me, "Why is your husband so kind?" I don't answer right away, but this story is my reply. Good husband is not born overnight. He is the result of being loved the right way, of unwavering trust, and of the gentle, quiet wisdom from the woman who walks beside him. A wife's grace doesn't lie in silent endurance, but in her ability to preserve warmth and peace. It's when she chooses not to wound him in moments of anger, not to say words that shatter the heart, and understands that men, too, have moments of weariness they don't know how to express. A husband who knows how to listen and share is often shaped by a wife who knows how to choose her words with care. Because words can be a bridge between hearts or an invisible blade. A wise wife never makes her husband feel smaller, but helps him feel, "You're on the right path, and someone believes in you." When a man feels seen and valued, he naturally grows into his role. Don't try to change your husband with criticism. Change how you respond. Patience isn't weakness. It's the quiet strength of a soul that loves deeply and understands deeply. Encouraging your husband in front of your children isn't flattery. It plants pride in his heart as a father. A man who feels admired by his child will always strive to be better. A happy wife doesn't need to marry the best man. She only needs to be graceful enough to help him become the best version of himself. When your husband grows distant, don't resent him. Whisper instead, "I miss the you from before." Sometimes a gentle reminder is all it takes to awaken a man from forgetting who he is. Grace is knowing when to be silent and when to speak. Being a wife is not being a mother or a teacher. It's being a companion on the journey. No man is perfect, but a thoughtful wife will always choose to believe in the goodness within him and quietly nurture it day by day. Which part of this touched your heart? Leave a few words, because your small story may be the light for someone else lost in the trials of marriage. The day he came home. The day he came home, she was already waiting by the little wooden gate, painted white, creaking gently every time the wind passed through. He stepped out of his old car, a faint smile on his lips, eyes tinged red from exhaustion and months of weariness. She didn't ask why he came home early, didn't question what was unclear. She simply wrapped her arms around him, like embracing an old dream she once thought she had lost. "I know. You're tired now." No blame. No sharp words. She just poured him a warm cup of tea and placed it next to his favorite rattan chair. Her grace wasn't in grand gestures, but in the little things. The gentle touch, the look that said, "I'm here, and I believe in you." Their marriage was not without scars, but each time pain rose, she was the one who gently pressed a bandage over his heart, with quiet understanding and a love that never ran dry. A good husband doesn't simply exist. She reminded herself of that every time her heart felt alone. So she began to plant. She planted words of encouragement every time he failed. She planted trust even when outsiders sneered. She sowed patience in quiet afternoons waiting for him to come home late. And little by little, that seed began to sprout. He learned to open up. He learned to listen. And more importantly, he began to feel that he mattered. that he was becoming someone. She didn't need to raise her voice or win arguments. She just stayed, and stayed kindly. Their love story wasn't born of fireworks. It was built from quiet, unwavering warmth. He didn't say much that evening, but he drank the tea and stayed, sowing the seeds of trust. Back in their early days, she often sat alone in the kitchen, eyes brimming with tears over his careless words. Not anything major, just that he came home late without a call, forgot their dating anniversary, or left her meals growing cold in silence. But people aren't hurt by big things. It's the tiny scratches that build up over time. She once thought, maybe he doesn't love me as much as I thought. Then, instead of complaining, she chose silence. But her silence wasn't surrender, it was listening to herself and to him, even when he couldn't speak his heart. He wasn't the sweet-talking kind. He was awkward, dry, always lost in work. Coming home exhausted was his norm. She understood that. But understanding doesn't mean she didn't feel sad. Still, she didn't lash out. She spoke softly. I made your favorite sour soup today. It's cold now. Our daughter made you a picture today, but you weren't home. My first day back at work after giving birth, I waited all day for a message from you. But maybe you were busy. Her words were seeds. She didn't throw them down. In anger, she planted them gently, during moments when his heart was too busy to notice it needed watering. And the strange thing is, men don't ignore their mistakes. They just need to be reminded. The right way. He started to notice. One day when she came home late, he awkwardly made instant noodles, too salty. But she ate every bite, smiled, and said, I'll teach you how to cook it better tomorrow. But thank you. I know you tried. She never expected him to change overnight. Just little by little. Once, after a crushing failure at work, he came home with slumped shoulders. She sat beside him quietly. No pressure, no questions. Then she pulled out their wedding photo and placed it in front of him. I don't need you to be the most successful man. I just need you not to give up. I believe in you. His eyes welled up. He didn't hug her, didn't say much. But that night he didn't leave the dinner table until he finished every last bite. From then on, he began to listen, to notice her moods, to ask how her day went, to hold the baby, to make a meal. They were small things, but to her they were miracles. He is the result of love without judgment. She held on to that thought whenever friends asked, how did your husband change like that? She didn't make him perfect, but because of her, he became the better version of himself, a little more each day. And she knew. She wasn't wrong to sow trust instead of suspicion, to choose love over criticism. Because love isn't just a feeling, it's a decision, made again, every day. The quiet companion. One day, he came home angry. His face was dark, voice sharp over some issue at work. She was cooking when she heard the door slam, the clatter of dropped keys, and a long sigh, like the weight of the world had turned its back on him. She didn't react right away. She turned off the stove, poured him a glass of warm lemon water, placed it gently on the table, and quietly returned to her tasks. No judgment, no glares. Hours later, he peeked into the room. "I'm sorry. Work was terrible today. I shouldn't have brought that home." She smiled, softly replied, "I know. That's why I didn't say anything." Her words weren't just forgiveness. They were understanding. And in his eyes that evening, for the first time, she saw it. He realized he had someone walking beside him, not just during calm weather, but through storms. She never tried to be a second mother. She didn't teach him how to live or scold him into change. She simply chose to be a companion, someone who journeyed with him through messy days without bitterness, someone who knew when to speak and when to be still, someone who understood. Men also have fragile moments, but they don't always know how to name them. And so she never added fuel to a fire when he was already burning. Instead of saying, "You're always careless and angry," she whispered, "I know you're tired. If you need silence, I'll sit beside you, quietly." That was love without noise. That was grace, not from books, but from a heart that truly listened and eyes that saw deeply. One night, their son asked, "Mom, why doesn't Dad laugh like Uncle Two's dad does?" She gently stroked his hair and said, "Because your dad is trying very hard to be someone we can be proud of." That evening he overheard. He didn't speak, just held their son close that night. But the next morning he woke early, washed the laundry and said, "Let's have hot pot tonight. I'll cook. Is that okay?" She didn't try to win battles. She chose to walk beside him, not ahead, not behind, just beside. And because of that, he grew into a man, a husband, and a father. The father they looked up to. When their son was younger, he would always run into her arms first, sharing everything from school stories to scraped knees. Every time he fell, the first person he called for was, "Mom." She noticed something in her husband's eyes then. Not jealousy, but he didn't know how to be the one their child turned to. He was quiet, reserved, a man who loved through actions but struggled to express it. One time, he bought a toy for their child and left it on the table without a word. The child didn't realize it was from him, nor did he react with the excitement the father hoped for. Her husband gave a small, awkward smile and said, "Guess I'm not very good at this." That night, she said little. She gently told their child, "Daddy bought that toy for you. He loves you very much. He just doesn't say it often." Then she took their son by the hand and led him to the living room. "Go say thank you to Dad. Tell him it made you happy." The little boy ran up and hugged his father's waist, mumbling a sweet thank you. Her husband said nothing. But something inside him softened. From that day on, she began to encourage him in front of their son. Not out of flattery, but to help him feel, I matter. When their child recited a poem, she smiled at her husband. You taught him so well. When their son fixed a broken toy, just like Dad, skilled and patient. During dinner, she'd gently say, Daddy did something amazing today. Want to hear about it? At first, he stumbled through the stories. His words were slow, unsure. But seeing their child's eyes light up, he kept going, more each time. One night, after a parent-teacher meeting, she shared, His teacher said today, he told his class, my dad is the best fixer in the world. He didn't say a word. Just stroked their son's hair and held him close. But the next day, he made breakfast early, helped with homework, and asked, What should we build together this weekend? She didn't polish him into a shining figure. She simply wiped away the dust so his light could come through. A good father isn't born. He is shaped by the one who believes in him and helps him see his own worth, and she knew how. Becoming a decent man. He was no longer the man who stumbled over emotions or hid in his own world. Now, he would gently place a hand on his wife's shoulder when she looked weary. He knew to hold his child's hand while crossing the street, to kneel and wipe off the dust from his son's shoes every morning. He would say, Thank you, love, even for something as simple as a humble dinner or a neatly ironed shirt. No one taught him to do those things. No book spelled out how love could raise a man. But she was patient, and her love silently wrote new pages within him. One sunset, as the soft light bathed their little home, he held her hand and said, If you had left me back then, I might still be a careless man today. She smiled. I did think about leaving, but I stayed because I believed the man I chose deserved the chance to grow. Her voice carried no bitterness, no pride, just the hush of someone who had weathered many storms, who had chosen to stay and see it through. A good husband is the fruit of a woman who knows how to love. He remembered that line from a birthday letter she wrote in their first year of marriage. Back then, he didn't understand. Now, every word made sense. To outsiders, he was just an ordinary man, not rich, not outstanding. But in her eyes, he was the brightest man alive, radiant, not because of spotlight or success, but because he made others feel safe and warm. He became someone to lean on, not by force, but by learning to love, to listen, to be kind. He didn't need to be the best. She didn't need a perfect man. They just needed to become the best versions of themselves, for each other. Now their son is older, more aware, and sometimes curious about the past. One day he asked, Why didn't you leave Dad when he was clumsy and all? She smiled, stroking his hair. Because I saw a good man inside your father, even when no one else did. Like discovering treasure? Exactly. But I didn't find treasure. I planted it. He sat beside her, quietly holding her hand. She looked at him, not like she did on the first day, but like someone who had truly loved, forgiven, stayed, and journeyed to the end. No marriage is without hardship. No man is perfect, but a woman who loves deeply, understands wholly, and moves with grace can work miracles. If you're tired, if you feel alone in trying to keep a man who seems unchangeable, don't lose hope. Maybe all he needs is for you to believe a little more, to be a bit more patient, to love a little gentler. Don't give up if what you're holding on to is true love. And if you can, whisper to the man beside you, I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to know. I believe you can be better. Thank you for walking through this journey with us. This isn't a fairy tale, but it could be true for anyone who dares to love and to wait. If something in this story touched you, tell your story too. Maybe your voice will be the light for someone else, still wandering through their storm.